So my pathway into historic preservation was through archaeology. When I was a kid growing up near the woodlands and farmlands of Minnesota, I was aware that I lived on lands that had been occupied and taken care of for thousands and thousands of years prior to my ancestors arriving on those lands. And I was intrigued by that. Who had lived there? How did they live? And what happened to them? I think those are the sorts of questions that kept me interested in archaeology in my youth and propelled me to study archaeology and pursue it as a career, as a young professional. Not long into the career, though, I think I became interested more in the people that had lived in the past than in the things that they had left behind. So I think soon after starting my career in archaeology, I really transitioned to what I think of as more as anthropology and ethnography, and eventually historic preservation. I'm a historic preservationist for a lot of reasons. First, I think I recognize that the story of how humans have lived on this planet and related to each other is of interest to almost everyone. And that honoring and protecting the places that mark our collective pathways through time, if you will, is also important to almost everyone. In many ways, I think knowing where our ancestors and where we all came from and how we got to these places where we are right now are questions that fascinate everybody. I also feel incredibly lucky to be the executive director at the advisory council, and I love what the job allows me to do. And I think that, really in its essence, it allows me to talk to people about places that matter to them and figure out ways to help protect them. And I really think the connections that people have with these places are important. And every time we can help honor and recognize those connections, I think we've done something really important to the public. And I also think that the challenge of sort of balancing the interest in protecting those places that tell the stories of the past, balanced with helping people get the modern things that they need, is really an important and interesting challenge. And I think when we're doing things right, we can help everybody achieve both, protecting the places that matter and also getting the new and modern things that they deserve. I think the reason that historic preservation became personally so important to me many years ago is through my connection with my wife and her mother, both of whom are members of the Navajo Nation. Prior to coming to the advisory council about 16 years ago, I worked for the Navajo Nation for about 20 years, and I lived on the Navajo reservation with my family. And it really became apparent to me there that the connection that people have, that the Navajo people have with historic places, is vitally important to them. And it's absolutely necessary for them to continue maintaining their culture and lifeways. Connections with historic places there and many other places are ongoing and alive, not just things of the past. And during my time there, I think I really learned that those connections are essential, that they're vital for the Navajo people in being able to maintain their culture right now. And as they say, as the Navajo people say, to live in harmony. So I guess you could say that in a very personal way, much of the work that I have done has been to make my mother-in-law proud, to show her that there are ways to protect historic places and also get everybody the modern things that they need. I think people should consider a career in historic preservation because in my mind, historic places are one of the most important non-renewable resources we have. And in many ways, they're one of the most fascinating resources that we have. Along the way, anybody that gets involved in historic preservation will learn an enormous amount of information about the variety of ways that people have connected with the places around them and with each other, and what's important about those connections. So I think if you really like working with people and you like talking with people and you're interested in the history of those people, you'll love historic preservation.